Good morning, everyone. This is Michael O'Malley here with the Hurricane Outlook and Discussion for August 31st, 2019, recorded around 11:58 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hurricane Dorian has intensified to 150 miles an hour, with additional intensification possible throughout the day today to near Category 5 intensity. The latest 11 o'clock advisory does continue to show Dorian on that northwestern track. However, I'm becoming a little bit skeptical of the overall model guidance, as you will see in a minute. The overall trend of Hurricane Dorian does continue to show a little bit more west than some of the model guidance does suggest. So we'll take a look at that in just a minute. Interesting to note, though, the Hurricane Center does note that hurricane watches could be issued for portions of the Florida coast later today. We will have to keep a very close eye on exactly where Dorian goes on its long-term evolution. Again, this is going to be a big problem for the Bahamas, as this will stall and cause a major rainfall event for the Bahamas. Storm surge, heavy rain is all going to be big problems here. You can see on the visible satellite shot here, Dorian is almost moving due 270 on a compass heading, but the 12Z guidance says that Dorian is heading 295, which would be like that. The overall motion of Dorian is actually 270 on a compass heading, which could, leads to two problems. One of which is that the models suggest that Dorian is heading off like that, when in reality Dorian is continuing to head like that. Every 5 or 10 miles that Dorian gets further west is going to be bigger implications for the Bahamian Islands out here. And also interesting to note that near Bermuda we do not have any upper air sounding data, because the Gulfstream aircraft that is supposed to do these high altitude samplings is not operational currently. They've got some maintenance issues that they have to fix, and if that is indeed correct, that could be one huge caveat to the storm, is that we do not have the proper upper air soundings, and that might be trying to steer Dorian away from the coast, when in reality this might be a bigger problem than we initially thought. So we'll have to keep monitoring the progress of this system. You can see on the manual floater here from tropicaltidbits.com, Levi Cowan, you can see the overall motion of Dorian today has been basically just hugging this 26 north longitude line, and barely just moving now over 26 north. The center is probably just a tad bit south of 26 north, but you can see the overall long-term effect basically at 270 here on a compass heading. So this is going to be very crucial to watch, is just exactly how far west this really gets before resuming presumably a 295 motion and making that turn towards the west-northwest. We do expect at some point in time this will take a turn towards the west-northwest. Exactly when that happens, though, is way too soon to be determined. The latest GFS forecast, the 12Z GFS forecast, will go out to about 42 hours, and you can just see the overall trend is a little bit further south on the GFS today on the 12Z run than the 6Z run, and kind of falling in line sort of with the 6Z European model, the 6Z European, which is also showing a little bit of a southwesterly trend. And by 60 hours out, you can see that is a major, it's subtle but very major in terms of consequence, very major shift towards the south and west. If that trend today continues, we will have to continue to watch, but that is a very real trend that is possible. A very tricky forecast is setting up, and again, we have very limited upper air soundings near Bermuda into the north and east of Dorian at this current point in time. So the models are continuing to struggle with the overall evolution of Dorian, and a stalling hurricane over the Bahamas, even a slight difference in pressure and wind, this could be a major problem for portions of the Florida East Coast, the Bahamas, and who knows who else. At this point in time, it's still way too early, but direct landfall into Florida cannot be ruled out at this point. If we go to 72 hours out, you can see the difference between the 6Z run and the 12Z run is pretty interesting. And you can see it's a really interesting trend in the model guidance that has shifted further towards the south and west today. So If that trend continues, we'll be having to keep an eye on that. But again, that is the current trend. And if we got to 84 hours, the difference is probably even more. We'll see if this thing can actually load. There we go. The difference is even more interesting by 72 hours out. That is a pretty big change between that point in time. That's roughly about a 50 to 100 mile difference. So again, we're really not going to look past 84 hours. There's just way too much uncertainty on where Dorian goes, whether it comes in here or whether it comes in at a lower latitude or does indeed make that turn out to sea or into the Carolinas is still up for grabs at this point in time. There is still a lot of time on the clock per se to watch this, but people in the Bahamas should have their preparations done today, and the same with the Florida East Coast. And if you actually go to the Hurricane Center on the public advisory here, and they specifically state that interest in southern and central Florida should continue to monitor the progress of Dorian. Watches may be required for portions of the east coast of Florida later today. It's going to be very interesting to watch. And again, maximum sustained winds of 150 miles an hour. The official movement is west at 280, but more so we are continuing to monitor almost a 270 track at this point in time. So again, very interesting to see exactly what Dorian will do. I will have another video update when the 12Z Euro comes out, and then again at the 5 o'clock advisory, and probably at the 11 o'clock advisory. So about probably 3 or so more, or at least 2 more video discussions coming out later today. That's going to be it for me right now. Again, people in Florida need to continue to monitor the progress of Dorian. Not everything is set in stone right now, and I want to make that very clear. Hope you all have a safe rest of your day, and I will be back around the time that the 12Z Euro initializes.